amazing Zhong Jing Fang, soloist with American Ballet Theater, and also old friend. We've known each other quite a long time. I don't want to give away my age. But anyway, I just wanted to give an opportunity for parents and up and coming ballet dancers to maybe gain a little bit more insight from another dancer that is still living the life and is in the midst of her career and has had a very interesting beginning to the career. So I hope you enjoy and feel free to also ask questions if you have any. But I will go ahead and start with my first question. I usually call her Z, but I will be professional. um, so, my first question for you is what first inspired you to pursue ballet, and at what age did you start your formal training?
That's such a wonderful first question. Because my journey started kind of unusual because I was not exposed to ballet in the beginning of in my childhood. When I remember the very first time I saw ballet was maybe around 5 years old. I saw on TV, it was a black white television. It was later I find out it was Ulanova from Russia. She was dancing the Dying Swan. I had no idea that what that was, but I just remember the gracefulness of a human being becoming a swan, and I just like was just so intrigued by the movement at such a young age. Then I didn't know ballet at all until when I turned 9. My mom apparently read the newspaper that the Shanghai Ballet School was auditioning for students. And so she just kind of like asked me, like, would you like to try? And I said yes. So my parents took me to Shanghai Ballet School, and little I knew it was 2,000 kids
Ooh.
auditioning from all over China, because it's a government supported school. So all the parents want their kids to join the ballet school. It's a great deal to be a ballerina at the time. Um, so I auditioned through the 20,000 students, and then they picked 18 dancers, and I was those one of those 18 dancers.
Oh,
So I was very lucky.
18 out of 2,000?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So you were built to be a star from the beginning. That is so crazy. Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine uh, auditioning for anything with that many people. And just, I don't know, I think I would crumble just out of
I
like, oh,
know
I'm
I
definitely not getting this.
I am like,
Crazy.
now that I'm a professional dancer, I'm like I hate auditions. But at the time, because I didn't know anything about dance and I just was there, and somehow the teacher liked that. They thought
Hmm.
it's almost better to train somebody who without any knowledge to just start from zero because it's a professional school. So they didn't like some of the students that already has trainings.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so that
They already
actually
have,
helped. Yes.
that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense because they've already got, you know, an idea of what they think it should be, or maybe a technique that's already been inputted, and maybe they teach something slightly different, or they want to take a different path, and you're like a clean slate, just a
Yeah.
sponge.
Yeah.
So cool. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's now I want to go back to something. I don't want to forget about you saying about auditioning. So I want to put that in my back
Yes.
pocket. Um, can you share a memorable moment? Well, I think you've already done that from your early training that solidified your passion for dance. Well, I think it started with seeing it on television, but was there another defining moment?
So, another moment that I really started loving, I wouldn't say loving right away, but started to understand, okay, ballet is something that you have to really focus on, and you have to practice to get to a point that you realizing that's you're creating the line and all that.
Mm-hmm.
That was a time so the first year of the school, I didn't realize I was last to second in this class. So my teacher apparently had a conversation with my dad and said, okay, we're gonna keep her one more semester, and if she can't follow up, then we might have to, drop her. So my dad apparently asked me a very important question early on. Just said, do you want to dance? If you do, you gotta do something different. Otherwise, we can leave now. Why would you want to stay another semester if you don't want to dance, right? So that was the first question I, literally questioned myself as a child at 10 years old. Um, that, oh wow, like I didn't realize I was not good enough. And I realized that I do want to dance. So what can I do? And then I thought, I right away I told my dad I do want to dance. And then I started to like really listening to the teacher. I asked questions after class, and that was the defining moment that uh, after maybe a month, the teacher started to give me compliments. So I never had that before. So I started to realizing the reward of the compliments, and even like when you're standing in a group, she started moving me forward. So it's kind of like such an amazing feeling that you're getting that reward from working hard and listening and changing how you look and really working on what she was teaching us. So that's the beginning of
That's that.
the joy.
That's so
Yeah.
interesting that your dad, I think that's something really important to touch on because your dad was kind of the one that put the seed like, listen, if you really want this, we're going to have to switch something around here and you're going to have to make that change.
Yep.
Okay, I really do want this, so I need to start to listen. I need to start to put in the work. And then
Yeah.
the reward came.
Hmm.
I think that's very important for people to hear. It's not just handed to you. You
Yep.
have to put in the work. And that was an important question for your father to ask you at a very pertinent time.
Hmm.
So I love that. That's
Hmm.
that's great for people to hear. How did your family support your ballet journey? So I think during those early years, I think that's pretty much. I mean, I'm guessing after this, you started to be along the way for you, I would
Hmm.
imagine.
Hmm.
Um,
Uh,
was there any extra, were there any times just kind of going on that sort of that last question that maybe when you started the trajectory, um, that you were doing well, that then you kind of would have a setback and then maybe you needed some help from your family and some support and guidance during those moments?
I always have. So my parents were my support systems for 7 years, the years I was in the school. So we all stay in the school. It's a dormitory. So every
Mhm.
weekend, it's either my parents will come pick me up, or later when I was older, like I was able to just travel on my own and go home every weekend. That was a recharge moment for me. And there's one very special moment that I have had was before one of my very first international competition. Um, Everyone was giving me pressure from the school, just was saying that you have to, you don't go there just to experience, you go there to win. And it's very rare to have the opportunity at that time from China to have international competition. So the opportunity given to me, and then I had a appendicitis right before the competition. So it was very close to the school was dropping me off to that competition, and I really wanted to go. And I asked my parents, like, what should I do? And the school is not supporting me. And my parents literally just said, don't listen to what the pressures are. Just trust yourself, and if you want to go, and if you fail, if you being cut it like the first round, just go with the experience. Like you just have to see it's your own growth, because not that many dancers get that opportunity. So if the opportunity landed in your hands, you just take the best you can, and don't worry about you have to win, or how you're gonna give it back and all that. So just do your best. So that was very, very important support that they have given me the very first time I traveled internationally.
That's so interesting. I bet that sort of ended up also defining you later, because those are those formative years, and then you start to move up and um,
Hmm.
progress in your career, and it's like I think those things stay with us. Those,
Hmm.
even if they're not right next to us, they're always here in our mind and our soul, and I think that probably helped you along the way with your
Hmm.
success now. Very interesting. I love that. It's so important what we tell our children. Um,
Hmm.
so this sort of now changing topics a little bit. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced as a young dancer, and how did you overcome them?
So one of the major challenge for me was the stage frighten. So
Mm,
I could be like the best student in the class, but then the next day, if there's somebody watching, I could be the worst. And
mm-hmm,
that was the inconsistency. I didn't create that because I didn't understand why. And I was trying to so hard to figure out. And that kind of also, my teacher at the time, that she had to focus so many students. So it's kind of
mm,
like it really frustrated her because she just didn't understand why that one day you could be so good and the other day you just can't. And I had to really I remember like reading self-help books and just really trying to conquer that. So I probably for 2 years I had to practice with even with having my classmate watching me, having my parents watching me, or having somebody watching me as pretending it's a performance. And then every single time, if I have the opportunity to perform, then I would just really practice, meditate before. Um, and eventually, somehow, within that 2 years, and eventually it became easier and easier. At one moment that I even created myself, like, don't think of those humans, don't just think of those trees. So I would,
I like that. It's a
yeah,
tactic.
it helped me at the time at such a young age. And but then later, that was the beginning of helping, like, oh, it's working. So at the beginning, I started to feel like, oh, those are just trees, or those just objects. Then later, somehow I was gaining confidence, and that was, I see a transition in myself, just from really, really shy or stage frightened to starting having confidence, starting to liking having people there, liking having uh audience members. And then I almost became the opposite. It's almost like when there's people, I perform better. So that was
Yeah.
very shocking to my teacher, but it became such a great exercise to me, that how I conquered from like I couldn't dance in front of people too. I love it.
And where did you, um, how did you know, or did somebody help you? Because this is part of what I do, tactics and meditation. And how did someone guide you to do that? Or did you just naturally, instinctually just thought, okay, I need to start to do something to combat my fears here? How did you develop into learning that that was going to be a helpful tactic for you? Who introduced that to you?
So I was reading some self-help book
Hmm.
about living the moment. Uh, I don't remember the title of the book, but I remember how important, and that was the first time I introduced like, oh wow, I didn't realize that you can be there, but you're not there. And that's sometimes when you stage fright and you're not there, you left yourself. So the so I learned how to really live in the moment and like kind of like there's a commitment to yourself to no matter what, you're not letting yourself go and not
Hmm.
letting your mind wander to other things. Another person really helped me was my mom, and she she just simply said like, "Oh, I bet even though you can't tell, but I bet other students are nervous too. Or if you see other dancers, they must be nervous too." So that to knowing that also helped me because I always thought I was the only one who's nervous. Because I can't tell with, oh, why, how come other dancers are performing so well? So I always felt like they're just so natural. But when my mom explained that to me, then I realized maybe they're also nervous, just like me, but they were able to conquer. And if they can do it, I can do it too. So that was a nice acknowledgement of knowing that I'm not alone.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's
Um,
very important. Yes, and I totally agree with you. And I had the same thing as you had
you
that
did.
paralyzing fear. Um, yeah, it's it's not fun, but it is kind of comes with the territory for some of us. And just learning about your tactics that worked for
Mhm.
you. It's so good for also people to hear and to know that they're not alone in this journey.
Yep.
Um, that's so nice. Okay, so kind of moving on. Let me just, can you talk a little bit about the importance of finding the right teacher or mentor in your early years? Which sounds kind of like it was like your parents, but yeah,
Um,
just a little
mhm.
bit more on that, how that influenced you.
Well, one part of, mentors definitely my parents, but also I definitely was lucky that I had great teachers. The first teacher who taught me 2 years, that she was wonderful. And she right away, I remember the first day of the school, she said, "This is not a dance school just for fun. There's a difference between professional and then just dancers for hobby." So she said, "This is a professional school that eventually, when you graduate, you are going to be a professional dancer." So that kind of set my mind very high up. And then another thing she taught us was that what she's building is kind of like she's building a house, right? So you don't see the house for a couple of years. You're just building the foundation. So that is very visually very helpful because uh, we all, everyone wants to be like great turner, great jumper, or I want to learn a variation right away. We all do, when we were younger. But what she taught us was why it's so important to do plie every day, why it's so important to do a correct tendu and practice that every day, the bar, the technique. Um, and it was boring for a couple of years because we weren't learning variations until at least like the third, fourth year. So it was boring for a couple of years, but then what she explained to us, we understood how important that was. Then I had my second teacher, she taught me almost like 7 years. And she is also very incredible, which she never gave up on us. And
Mhm.
she just had that strength of like the hard working, and she's so tough. She's like a tiger mother. Like she's so tough on us, but at the same time, like we can feel the passion, the love. And when you had that kind of example, like up there, you just kind of like you just open yourself, you trust in them, and that's very important to be able to trust in a teacher. Uh,
Yeah,
so I was
invaluable.
very lucky to have that.
Wow, that's really important information. Like I said, just completely invaluable. I mean, what you're stating. It's funny what you said about the foundation because this is exactly what I'm talking to, my students. I'm like,
Yeah.
bar is, the foundation. You want to build a house on a good foundation. If you don't,
Yep.
gonna crumble eventually. And I love that analogy. I use it a lot because it, for my brain too, it makes so much sense. Strong foundation, strong house, one
Hmm.
that will stand the test of time and weather, anything that comes its way. But
Hmm.
that's invaluable to hear about your teachers and how important it is to trust your teachers. And even when they're a little tough on you, um, usually because they see something in you and they're
Hmm.
investing in you and there is love there for sure.
Hmm.
I love to hear that. How, oh, this is a good one. Um, how do you balance school, social life, and intense ballet training as a teenager? I always found that really hard.
I maybe because I was in a professional ballet school for, so many years, I really don't think I had a normal teenager time. I was just chatting with my husband the other day about how, kids growing up, teenager years, they're gonna be very rebellious. And I didn't have that. I was always a good girl. I was always, trying to do my best, and I was definitely like a 100% bonehead. So that kind of like helped me kind of was single-minded to the ballet road, in
Hmm.
my professional role, into my professional role. And I really, my social life was just me and my classmates. We didn't have that. We don't go outside. We don't meet people at that time.
Right.
So, and all we talk about is dance and, like really nothing interesting. Um,
Yeah,
it,
your whole life just revolved around ballet.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I get that. Yeah.
We didn't have school, but somehow this because the ballet school is the priority is ballet, so the school is always accommodated. That we studied everything, but the school teacher always made sure that we finish all the exams before the ballet exam. So we
Hmm.
always do things ahead of time. And that, that was fine. That wasn't too challenging. Um, but everyone in the school know that the main focus is about dance.
Such a different, isn't it such a different way of life now, because, I know you also go and teach kids and it's like now they have to pretty much do it all. And I was like you, I went,
Yeah.
into Houston very young, but, had to do correspondence, school literally
Hmm.
through the mail, or we were
Wow.
sending at the end of the week because we didn't have computers.
Wow.
And now it's like the kids have to be in school and intense training after and do their homework late at night when they're leaving, the studio and do it in the car. And
Hmm.
it's such a different world here
Yeah.
and just in different time. Yeah, I get that. What? So yeah, this is a good one. What was the turning point when you realized that ballet could be your professional career?
That is a good one. So when I was 16, I mentioned about the my first international ballet competition, which was Lausanne.
Hmm.
And I had that kind of attitude of, I just want to go out there and experience. And I had the most amazing time at the competition, I wasn't focusing on how I should be the best dancer there. I was just like open. I was learning from other students, or I see other teacher, and I get so much acknowledgement from the judge and the coach there, and it's just a completely different vibe. And I fell in love with ballet even more at that. I started to realizing, oh, this is how ballet is, like because I knew ballet came from the West, and
Hmm.
we had such a the school is very limited. They give everything they know, but it's kind of like when you stay in one place, then you go to the whole world. You see a completely different side of ballet, and you start to realizing there's so many different kind of art form that mix together. The contemporary, the jazz, and all that. So I fell in love, and then that was the first thought that I want to dance internationally. I want to come to the West, and I at least I want to experience that.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
And what age was that? What age were you when that realization came?
I was 16.
16. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big turning point time.
Mhm.
How did you handle the transition from being a student to a professional dancer at a prestigious company like American Ballet Theater? And then I'm also curious how you made your way to ABT. Like, how did that all? I mean, I know I was there. I think I was already in the company because I know you're much younger than me, but
Mhm.
I remember you coming in somehow. We
Yes.
were there, and so I want to know like how your path was paved to make your way to ABT and how that transition was for you.
It's quite amazing. So when I was graduating, I asked one of my uncle to send out resumes that any ballet company or school that he could find on the internet. And he was the only one who was able to write, English, um, and know how to use a computer. Because at that time, it's like not that many people know how to use a computer in China.
Right.
So
Foreign
he,
object.
yes, so what ABT came to China in 2000 in
Uh-huh. Yep.
Shanghai,
I
and
was there.
I saw the show of La Ba there,
Uh-huh.
and I saw the Kingdom of Shades, and I believe I saw you, the first girl coming out. And I remember seeing, Julie Hao, Corella, and Yang Chen, who was dancing one of the solos. And I just like, wow, like never seen any company that's that beautiful, like as a whole company, not just like one or two dancers. The whole entire company was amazing, and I was screaming, like I was on the top of the theater. I was screaming, and I just fell in love. It felt like I went to a rock concert, and I just had that little dream of like, oh, what if I can join company like that? So
Mm.
I asked my uncle to send out resumes to any ballet company, uh, and he did. And the craziest part was, hello,
Yeah.
yeah, the craziest part was he come maybe like in a month or two later. I thought, okay, nothing is happening, and he told me that ABT, the studio company, has written to him that they have one position available.
Oh my
Um,
God.
and the director was John Meehan and said, would you like to join studio company? And right away I said yes. Like even though my uncle said, are you sure? Because they had no idea, what, like my family doesn't know anything about ballet. So he said, are you sure it's in New York? And it was right after 9/11. So everyone just terrified. Are you sure you want to go to New York? And I said, yes, because I know the company. I've seen
Yeah.
it. So I talked to my parents, and they were a little concerned, but they were very, very supportive. And they said, if that's your dream, if you really want to go, we support you. So I, my uncle responded, and I got the visa, everything, and there I was with two suitcases without knowing anyone. That I didn't know anybody, didn't speak the language. I just booked a flight and then went there, and it was wild. So it was
Where
very
did you
wild.
stay? Did you live? Because they didn't have housing, right?
They
Yeah, that was,
well, that was they did.
they
I
did.
think
I don't
maybe
remember.
because uh my uncle did ask John that what you guys providing housing, because if
Hmm.
not, then that would be difficult for uh Zhong Jing to travel there. So they said they were able to find sponsors, and they were able to put somehow that year had a lot of international, student, like dancers, and so they
Hmm.
were able to find sponsors to support, to put us. First, we were in a hotel on the Upper West Side. So
The ballet belt, yes, around
yeah,
Lincoln Center, of course.
yep. And then we later they were able to find a unit, apartment unit. So we were able to stay there,
Mhm.
and it was very like amazing. Just I met 11 other dancers. We were all like around 17, 18, around the same age. And and there's so many international dancers too. I remember Laura Hidalgo.
Oh my God,
Who
it
else
brings
was
you
there?
back.
Yeah, Danny Tidwell. So
Yes,
many of,
Danny.
yeah. And we were just like young, Sarah Ling, and we were just young, and we were just like spontaneous with each other. So it helped, to create that atmosphere, and everyone helped each other. I just remember everyone helping me to learn learn English, and
Mm,
um, that was a very, very fun year. So that was the beginning of the journey when I came to ABT Studio Company. Then a year later, I joined the main company.
that must have been, yeah, where we
Mhm.
had a moment together, and then
Yep.
I went ahead and, you know,
I
got
think
recruited by Washington.
I don't remember it was either my first year when you
Hmm.
were transitioning, or it was when I was still apprentice. The
Yeah, I think you
when
were.
I
Yeah.
first joining, just only like joining shades and joining some of the quarter ballet works. And I just remember watching you and just like, oh my God, like you're so beautiful. It was, yeah, it was so amazing. Like I
I
couldn't
did
believe
not
it.
pay her to say this. Oh, you're so sweet. That's very nice of you to say. I mean, you know how much I respected being in that position. I think everybody knew that I loved being in that position, and I carried a lot of weight to be that first
Mhm.
shade, and like, but it's nice to hear that maybe it inspired, you a little bit,
You
or
have, you have, you have set a legacy for the first shade person, because every time when we're doing shades now, that Susan Jones always mentioned how important that person is, and she always mentioned about you. And like for the ones who know you, just always hold on to that legacy. Like, you have to be that good. Can't just be like,
oh,
like you do. Like it's the first person coming out, it's very, very important.
it
It's
is. It is. It's crucial, and it's you set the pace, you carry the weight of the core, and yeah, it is. It's an important
Hmm.
role to carry, and I
Hmm.
never, took it for granted, that's for sure,
Hmm.
because I know a lot of people would love to be in that position. So
Hmm.
I must have a tiny little ear. Little microphone is giving me problems. I love what you said about it's important to build, um, that camaraderie that you had with your roommates. And I think that's so important to just, help each other. I think that's a
Yeah.
big um, thing to just hear about as a young, teenager, but then I think to carry that even into, professional life
Hmm.
and the ups and downs and the ebb and flows of the career, and just to remember to, you know, be a support mechanism for, those around you. It's impactful and it's
Hmm.
important.
Hmm.
Um, what are some of the most rewarding and challenging aspects of being a soloist with ABT? So kind of the yin and yang
Mm.
of being a
That's,
soloist.
yeah, that's a very good question. Um, so I feel like as soon as you join the company, you know you're talented. Everyone's watching you. Uh, I think so far every single dancer wants that extension of it would be nice to be promoted, right? It would be nice to be a soloist. It would be nice to be a principal. And my moment was at a time that I was doing so well that I had a major injury.
Hmm.
So I almost couldn't dance and I didn't dance for 2 years. And that had, everything that you built it up in a company that was, you know, uh, like it went away. So I had to, when I came back again, I had to start from zero and really start gaining respect and appreciation just for this art form. And I had to commit to that itself, to myself, that no matter what I do, even like I'm third cast, third row, like no matter if I'm just crossing the stage, in my character shoes and I'm not doing anything difficult, any little parts that from there, when I came back dance again, I just take it as if I'm a principal dancer, as if
Yep.
I'm just not principal dancer in a way watch me, but principal dancer in a way that what does this artist kind of like if you're actor, right? What this character that means why you have to be on stage at this moment of this time. So it really digging into different characters, and I fell in love with each different characters, big, small, everything. So because of that practice, I think I got noticed by the artistic, and then they started to give me more and more opportunities. And then by the time I really, I became a soloist after 15 years in the quarter ballet. So it's kind of like probably I was the first one in the history that took that long to become a soloist. But I really was almost not thinking this is my goal. Like I let it go of the goal of I want to be soloist next. I want to be a principal. I just wanted to be dance the best I can in the years I have. So by the time I was a soloist, I felt even more appreciated. So that helped me to really like everything I do, in any character or in any roles that I will do my best. And somehow like it's similar to the school foundation that we were talking about, that it's not like, oh, now I'm a soloist, I have to dance different. Or if,
Hmm.
like I don't know if you have seen dancers like, okay, if I do a solo role, I'm gonna give 200%. But if I'm in a quarter ballet, I do 5% or
Oh, yes, I
give
know. Yeah,
80%, you know?
yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I didn't want that. I want to be, I'm just a dancer. I want to be respectful for every single role I'm doing,
Right.
which sometimes, it can hurt me because if I do every single show every night, you get exhausted.
Yep.
And
Yes.
but it's all worth it. So by the time I got promoted, it was a nice break because okay, now I don't have to, I can just focus on those roles, or I don't have to
Hmm.
do quarter ballet solos and sometimes like if you have a principal role. So I can just focus on the roles and I felt it's easier on the body.
Yeah.
And I can deliver better, even better. So it was a great transition for me that I didn't look at solos as it should be better than quarter ballet. I looked at as every single role is important.
That is
So
so invaluable. Listen up, people. Because that is the proof to me because I view exactly the same way. Um, and I was just studying Swan Lake recently, and I said, each one of you have to stand there like the principal, like not look at
mm,
me, but you're telling the story. You're
yep,
part of her pulse, right?
yeah,
But your story of 15 years
mm,
is, you know how it is. It can be tough in ABT, and you found even resolve and just I'm okay with being in the court of ballet and stepping out of rank.
mm-hmm,
I'm just going to treat every role that I do as 150% of me. And
mm-hmm,
that's people need to hear that because
mm-hmm,
I used to talk to students sometimes, that have now gone into, companies and they're like, oh, I'm just in the core. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. We don't use that phrase. Oh, I'm just in the core.
yep,
We're going to wipe that out.
mm-hmm,
You're vital. You're essential. You're
mm-hmm,
part of the story. And
mm-hmm,
the fact that you pursued excellence, which is what
mm-hmm,
you did in every role that you were performing and learning, led you to a promotion.
mm-hmm,
And excellence and patience
mm-hmm,
and never giving up. And it's important that it wasn't
yep,
really a goal for you. I mean, I know it's always in the back of our minds. It would be nice, to get
yeah,
that promotion. And, to be honest, I was aiming for that,
mm-hmm,
and I wanted to do other roles. And I was,
mm-hmm,
you know, um, maybe who knows if I had stayed, but I just love that you you continue to just carry, and I've seen your Lady Capulet, and it's gut wrenching, and also, that's a huge weighted character, and it's like
mm,
to me, you're still very young. But I understand you're, a mature artist at this point. And it's important for people to know that, like, not to give up and to treat everything as important as the next role. It doesn't matter what it is.
mm-hmm,
Everything gets the equal study behind it, thoughtfulness behind it. How am I a part of this? Where, how can I offer this character to
mm-hmm,
be important in this scene? And
mm-hmm.
this is like priceless stuff. Love, love, love this. Oh, this is a nice one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as a wife and mother, how do
Mm,
you balance the demands of your career with your personal life?
mm-hmm. I love it. And I think I became a better dancer that later I have a family. Um, and I didn't believe that once I had a child I would be dancing better. But everyone like tells me like, wow, you're dancing way much better than before. And I think there is when you gave birth, when you have that kind of motherly love to somebody else, and it is like it brings you to a different level because being a dancer at the end of the day, we all want to grow into the artist, you can be, and we all have the technique and everything, but how can you develop even better? And that is not like you spend more time in the studio. It's more about life experiences. It's about what's important uh, in your life, and what can that balance through your art form. So having that extra love that from coming from the family, from my husband and from my daughter, that I was able to give, and when I dance, I felt like I'm more relaxed and more like just more enjoyable. And when you're more enjoyable and relaxed, and that is showing the truth of yourself. So it's a state of being. So when you do that, somehow your dancing is more uh, smooth and more flowy and more connected to yourself, and rather than trying to be this character or trying to do all the technique, you just do it. And also another part is I'm more busy, so I don't have time to think about how I'm gonna do this performance, how I'm gonna, like I don't have those extra time to waste and to make myself tired. So I really like, okay, the time I have in the studio and on stage, I am just gonna really 100% do my best and just enjoy the moment. So that helped me to actually become a better dancer. Um,
Yeah, I think you
it's
become
very
like
interesting.
more full, I don't know, more just like well-rounded, or I don't know how to word it, but yeah, definitely. I've seen it in so many dancers when they've found outside things. Um,
Hmm.
and maybe it's teaching, maybe
Hmm.
it's like that fulfills you in a way. And that was all of the, like, all my kids, they're my
Hmm.
kids. They're
Yeah.
mine. I mean, they might
Hmm.
as well come from me. I love them as if they were mine. Um,
Hmm.
and I do see that transition in artists. You see it a lot after
Hmm.
people come back from having a baby or getting
Hmm.
married. You just see this fullness come through their artistry. Yeah, I think it's life experience. Um,
Hmm.
Here, what role does your support system, you know,
Mm.
family, whether it's a family or friends or colleagues, play in helping you manage this balance?
Hmm. It's funny. Someone once said to me, like your relationship with your friends, family, mentors, anyone in your life, it's like a peeling an onion, right?
Hmm.
It's like there's different layers. So you have layers that you're super duper close with, closest friends or your family members. That's the middle part of the onion. And then there's different layers. It's not just one relationship or the other. There's so many layers of relationship, and that helps that all together that helps, to balance your life. And I needed that. I can't just do everything on my own. And I needed my family, I needed my friends, I need family from China, I need friends and my ballet teacher, my coach, my mentor. And it's all very it's like an onion, it's so beautiful, and it's all different layers. Um, and yeah, I can't think of without that in my life.
Does your mentor, your teacher from China, still play a vital role in your life now?
She plays a very important role, not necessarily when it comes to advice, or, her advice sometimes could be interesting to me. because she's
That's
older.
fair.
She just turned 80 and she's still teaching. She's amazing.
Ah,
She's very stylish and all that. And we when I was in China a couple of weeks ago, we just celebrated her 80th birthday. But her being is
mm,
such an amazing inspiration to me. Like she's 80 years old. She's like wearing Chanel like sunglasses and like she's
yes.
like fabulous. She's still wearing, like the tight pants, like to her legs still look like ballerina, all that and her being of being so positive all the time. Just
Mm,
when you're with her, she's always positive. She's always laughing and every she has such a persona, and the spice, and that really inspires me today. Like not just dance itself, but also who you becoming as a person, artist, and you know,
mm,
um, the desire as a human being that. Uh, so it really like inspires me that even if you maybe you're not performing or maybe you don't have a great season, maybe you have an injury, but you don't lose that. You always the
mm,
sunshine, you always that person. I mean, you are one of those people that I admire. You always have carry such a, grace with you every single day. And that even if you haven't teach me or anything, but just to talk to you, that gives me such a great energy, and that is important
oh, thank
in
you.
life. Yeah.
I know every time we see each other, we always like, that's like connect. It's
Yeah.
like we don't see each other often, but every now and then when you come here, when you came for dinner, and it's just
Hmm.
like unspoken, I don't know, connection. It must be
Hmm.
something in the universe.
Hmm.
Um, I like that. That's so important. Yeah, I like to hear that about your teacher. That's like I kind of picture us being like that, like still with some wild haircut and just loud clothing and
Yeah.
like
Well, we're 80.
quintessential Z and quintessential Lizzie. Yep. Always gonna be a little edgy, right? We
Hmm.
don't want to be boring.
Hmm.
Um, do you have any other passions or hobbies, outside of, the realm of ballet, anything that helps you to kind of
Hmm.
stay, grounded in yourself or,
Hmm.
anything from the outside world that you participated?
I have developed some hobby during the time when I was injured and couldn't dance for 2 years. I lo started loving fashion. Fashion is
Mm-hmm.
one of my like it helped me just to live a better desire and just like in a better mood. And sometimes if I wake up in a bad mood and I put on something nice and it changes my mood right away. So that's one of my hobby and also drawing. I
Oh,
really loved drawing. I don't do it anymore because of my family. So the hobby shifts, you know. But for a long time when I was single and young, living in New York City, I loved draw, and I used to go to the Art Students League and just taking the Sunday classes. I would sit there for like hours because they have 4 hour class, or sometimes my teacher would say stay for the next class. So I would stay, like I would sit there whole day long, and I would just draw, and it's very meditating and relaxing. And I love, what's come out of the paper from my mind. It's very interesting.
I
Uh,
bet now it's sort of transferring that kind of idea into your choreography. Like when you were
yes.
drawing, you could see maybe images, and now you're kind of just putting those images into choreographing on
Yep.
human bodies.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's choreographing is my other hobby. For
yeah.
now, I don't. I haven't like completely committed to the journey, but every time I'm creating something, it's like so fun and it's so rewarding. It's just it's fun. It's like I don't see it so serious yet, you know. So maybe that's the fun part. And I love seeing what I can do with the dancers and ideas and vision, and it's really fun.
That's interesting point because you said, I'm not fully committed yet to that, but yet you're being daring and you're putting work out there on, the Kennedy Center stage. And I think that's important for maybe younger dancers or even
Hmm.
people that are professionals right now, that it's okay to be a little fearless, dabble in some things. Doesn't mean you have to be like, oh, I'm a choreographer now.
Yep.
You're you're playing around with it. Maybe this is something that speaks to me. Maybe it's fun for me now because it's not a career. It's like,
Mm,
you were here, you had dinner here, and Teo loves to
yeah.
cook. This is my husband. He's like crazy
Hmm.
about cooking. And I'm
Hmm.
like, you should open a restaurant. He's like, I think if I opened a restaurant, it wouldn't be fun anymore. It's fun when
Mm,
it's like it's a hobby and people are coming, to my
yep.
home. And so it's important, I think, for people to understand too that it's all right to try some things and be daring like you're doing.
Hmm.
And it doesn't, and you're putting yourself out there, and
Hmm.
you know how it is. It's your choreography. People are gonna review it, talk about it, like it, not like it. And I mean,
Hmm.
that's brave. Girl, I don't think I could even do that. And I'm pretty brave, but I think it's important to just, that's a good message for people. Hey, maybe just try it. Maybe you're
Hmm.
at your studio, they're saying, enter into the choreography competition we're having just within the school.
Hmm.
And, you know, it might spark something in someone. And then they might actually go like, no, I actually enjoyed that better than dancing. I'm starting to realize I enjoy that creative process better. And I feel maybe like it's less stressful in a way.
Hmm.
So, I mean, interesting to hear that you're like, I'm not committed yet, but I'm enjoying it. And that might be the key for
Yep.
you to produce
Hmm.
great work because it's not like, okay, my livelihood relies on this right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I think so too.
Um, oh, okay. What advice would you give to young dancers who aspire to join a company like ABT one day?
Mm. That's a very great, question to the young dancers. Um, I remember I was, a few years ago, right before COVID, I was the jury for Lausanne. And some of the competitors, the students didn't get into the third round. So the juries have to go in and talk to them and to just give them guidance. And I remember almost every dancer wants to join ABT. And and it's such a great it's wonderful to hear, and including myself. Like I remember when I was the first time seeing ABT, I'm like, that's the company I want to join. A lot of times that dream do happen, and sometimes it doesn't. But we importance is that keep on dreaming. Like you don't be discouraged of, okay, maybe I didn't win a competition and I can't join ABT, or maybe I don't have the line or the technique. Keep on dreaming because that's where it's gonna get you to where you want it to be. And then once you give yourself a time, once you pursue that, like don't questioning all the time, just do it. Just do it, dreaming it, and then give yourself a time of, okay, let's say that's the audition day, or that is the day that uh, the opportunity might come. So until then, we don't know if you're gonna be part of the company or not. So just dreaming on that and do your best. And when you put all that effort, in, then it's quite a nice relief feeling, whether you get it or not in the end of the day, because you did it. You did that journey. You did that preparation. And maybe you didn't get into ABT, but maybe Boston Ballet or Houston Ballet are interested, or San Francisco. So it it's not the end of the answer is not as important.
Hmm.
The important is you're putting the work into that dream. And at the end of the day, you might be surprised. You might be joining another company that's you will be much more fulfilled with. So it's good to dream, and but don't worry so much about the result. That's the advice I will give. Yeah.
Zhong Jing, on that note, you guys, I think that's what we all need to hear.
Yeah.
That's like the best, I think, thing to end with. I mean, that's the best message you could send everybody. That's like a life message, not just in ballet.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, I could do this forever, but I'm on the time restraint here. I really appreciate your time and your continued friendship and support and kindness, and also what you're doing on your end, just as an artist, as a teacher, as a choreographer, and just as a mom, a wife, and just generally a good, genuine person. And I think it's so nice for people to see that you can be a star and still be just a nice, kind, grounded human being, that you know connects with people, and she's just a normal person like the rest of us. But
Yep.
she's just extraordinary at other things. um, anyway, I'm so grateful, and I will be in touch with you. And I send you all my love, and please give the family a hug for me too.
Thank you for having me. It's been such a wonderful conversation,
That was
and
great.
you're so amazing, and keep doing what you're doing because it's incredible. You're gonna inspire so many students and
Thank
young
you.
dancers. Yeah.
Thank you, Zhang. It means a lot to
Yeah.
me. Okay, we'll
Love
talk
you.
soon. Love
Talk to you
you.
soon.
Mwah. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.